The weight of one promise. Morale. A promise kept holds more strength than 1,000 words spoken. Part 1. The Farm Boy and the Storm. In a remote village nestled between two great hills lived a boy named Eli. He was 13, quiet, hard-working, and the only son of a humble farmer. Life on the farm was simple, but hard. His father believed in two things above all: honesty and promises. "Son," he'd say, "a man's word is like a seed. Once planted, it grows into trust. Break it, and you ruin the soil forever." Eli took that to heart. One summer, the sky turned violent with storm clouds. A heavy flood swallowed most of the farmland. Crops were destroyed, and many families had no food left. People began to panic. Some fled the village, some borrowed money from greedy lenders. But Eli's father, too proud to beg and too poor to recover quickly, fell ill from exhaustion. Within weeks, he died, leaving Eli and his mother with debts, barren land, and an uncertain future. On his father's grave, Eli made a promise: "I'll repay every debt you left behind. I'll work hard, and I won't cheat anyone, no matter how difficult it gets." It was a promise that would follow him through years of pain, temptation, and triumph. Part 2. The merchant's offer to survive. Eli and his mother sold almost everything: the cart, the oxen, even their small cupboard. All that remained was the land and their dignity. Eli worked day and night for nearby farms. He never complained. By the time he was 17, he had earned enough to buy seeds and tools. One morning, as he was fixing a broken fence, a stranger arrived. The man wore rich robes and traveled with guards. He introduced himself as Mr. Varon, a spice merchant from the city. "I'm looking to expand," Varon said. "Your land touches the river. I'll buy it at 3 times its value. You'll never have to work again." Eli was stunned. He could clear his father's debts and move to the city. His mother could rest. Their struggles could end that very day. But the land was his father's, the same land he had promised to save and rebuild. Selling it would break that promise. "I'm sorry," Eli said quietly. "It's not for sale." The merchant frowned. "Are you a fool, boy? I may not return with this offer again." "Then I wish you a good journey," Eli replied. Mr. Varon left, muttering about wasted potential. Part 3. Seasons of Pain. Years passed. Some seasons were good, others were cruel. Pests ruined crops. Traders manipulated prices. Eli was even accused of stealing once, though it was later proven false. But no matter what, he worked. He repaid the first loan, then the second, and slowly, name by name, he crossed off each debt his father had left behind. Villagers who once pitied him now respected him, not because he was rich, but because he never gave up. One winter, his mother fell seriously ill. The doctor said she needed rest and expensive medicine. Eli had no money left. He sold his last harvest to a city trader and walked 40 miles to get the medicine. He returned days later, frostbitten and weak, but with the medicine in hand. She lived. Part 4. The Empty Envelope. When Eli turned 25, he was known as the most honest man in the valley. His farm was healthy again. He had no debts, and for the first time in years, he felt peace. Then one evening, an envelope arrived at his doorstep. No sender, just his name, written in neat cursive. Inside was a single note. "A man's promise is tested most when no one else remembers it but him." Eli's heart raced. He knew that handwriting. It was his father's. He rushed to the cupboard where his father's old journal lay. Hidden in the back cover was a page he'd never noticed before. "In my final days, I borrowed 10 gold pieces from a merchant named Kellen. It was urgent. For seeds I never got to plant. I told him I'd repay it within the year, but I died before I could. If anyone finds this, and my son is grown, tell him." A promise was made. Eli stared at the page. No one knew. Kellen had never come asking. Maybe he was dead. Maybe he had forgotten. Maybe the debt no longer mattered. But to Eli, it did. Part 5. The Final Debt. Eli traveled to the nearby town where the merchant Kellen once lived. He searched for days, finally finding an old spice shop with the sign faded and broken. Inside sat a hunched man, nearly blind, coughing into a cloth. Kellen? Eli asked. The man nodded. Who's asking? I'm Eli, son of Thomas, the farmer from the Hill Valley. Kellen's face darkened. I remember your father. Took my gold. Never returned. I thought he cheated me. He didn't, Eli said gently. He died, but he wrote about the promise. And I came to repay it. Kellen blinked, then laughed. Not out of humor, but disbelief. You came back for a dead man's debt? After all these years? Eli pulled out a small pouch with 10 gold coins. The old man stared at it, then at Eli. Tears welled in his eyes. You are the kind of man this world doesn't deserve. Kellen pushed the coins back. Keep it. You've already paid something greater, honor. But Eli refused. A promise is a promise. Part 6. A reputation. Earned word of what Eli did spread across villages and towns. The man who walked for days to repay a forgotten debt. The farmer who turned down wealth to honor a vow. People came to learn from him. Traders offered fair prices without negotiation. Years later, the king's messenger arrived, bearing a royal seal. The king had heard of Eli's story and invited him to join the royal council as the advisor of honesty and integrity, a role created solely for him. Eli accepted, not out of pride, but with the hope that he could teach others that a single promise could change the world. He left the farm under the care of young farmers he trained himself, giving them the same lessons his father once gave him. Final scene, a new promise. Many years later, an old Eli sat on a bench outside a school he helped build. Beside him was a young boy, wide-eyed and curious. Grandfather, the boy asked, why didn't you ever take the rich merchant's offer? You could have been rich earlier. Eli smiled. Because sometimes the value of your word is greater than gold. When I kept my promise, I didn't just repay a debt, I earned something far more important: trust, respect, and peace. The boy nodded slowly. And what happens if I make a promise but no one remembers it? Eli leaned closer. Then it's your job to remember, because your word, even when forgotten by the world, lives in your heart, and that is where it matters most. Moral of the story. A promise is not a chain to hold you back, but a thread of honor that weaves your integrity. Keep it even when no one is watching, especially then.